Praise God once more.
My name is David Jigona. Happy and blessed of the Lord this morning. And I'd like to take this chance to give thanks to the youth leadership and for our vicar for giving me this great chance to minister unto the Lord this morning. There was a request that for us who are sitting so much far on the other side, we may try and come this side so that we may be together in the presence of the Lord. So allow me to go straight to the word as they move to this other side. Just a minute. So, onto the word. I remember it was 7 years ago in Juja, whereby there was a man who had a very beautiful family. God had blessed him with a firstborn, an 8-year-old son, and he had 2 twins, very beautiful children, a boy and a girl, 3 years old. But because the world has fallen, and because we live in a world that has fallen, has so many crises, it came to a point where in his life he suffered. It has never been known truly what he was going through, but it came to a time in his life he was going through very, very tough crisis. And unfortunately, the crisis that had befell him was too great that he decided to kill his first-year-old child and his 2 beautiful twins. And he also decided to kill his wife. And then after all that, akaamua kujichoma ndani ya hiyo nyumba. And I remember when even that story, that news is still on YouTube. You can search for it. And sometimes in our lives, we go through so many disadvantages, we go through so many crises, to a point where we don't know how to handle them. And we end up destroying our lives. As this man in Juja ended up destroying his life because of the many crises that happen in our walk of faith. And that is why I would like us to learn this morning, what should we do in times of crisis? What should we do in times of crisis? As the word was read to us very well in Psalms 46, it was a time when Israel was going through a very terrible crisis whereby they were about to be attacked by Assyrians. And from this Psalm 46, I would like us to learn 2 things we should do in times of crisis, so that as this young man in Juja destroyed his family because of crisis that befall us in our walk of faith, we might be able to know better ways to mitigate crises that come in our lives. And the first thing we need to do in times of crisis is be still. Tell your friend, be still. Be still. In Psalms 46 verse 10, it says, be still and know that I am God. In times of crisis, we should always be still. Psalms 46 verse 10 tells us to stop worrying and trust that God is in control. When God says be still, He's asking us to quiet our hearts, stop trying to fix everything on our own, and remember who He is. Be still. After the Israelites had stayed for 400 years in Egypt, God came through for them and delivered them. Through the 10 plagues, He was able to deliver them. But they came a point at the Red Sea. But before they came to the Red Sea, God said, wacha tu, kuna njia mzuri wanaweza pita wafiki haraka, but wacha wapitie Red Sea. And he had a plan. But when they got to Red Sea, they camped there, and then God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Na akasema, hawa watu wameenda, na atakuwa anatufanyia kazi. And he decided to go after them. Now he decided to go after them, and the Israelites were camping there at the Red Sea. Wakaangalia at the hill, wakaona wamekujiwa. And they started worrying. It was a time of crisis. wamekuwa kwa slavery for 400 years. Sasa nye tu wameachiliwa, wamefika Red Sea, wanataka kurudishwa. A time of crisis. And this is what they did. They started rebuking Moses and telling them, yaani hiyo kazi yote umefanya. You have brought us from Egypt so that we come here at Red Sea and die. Wakaanza kumkelelesha. And they forgot that God had sent the 10 plagues. They forgot of how God was merciful to them and had delivered them. And they started wakaanza rebuking Moses. And this is what Moses told them. In Exodus chapter 14 verse 13 to 14. Moses answered the people, do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance of the Lord will give you. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see them again. The Lord will fight for you, but you only need to be still. Again, be still. Walianza kuhangaika. But this is what Moses told them, be still. And sometimes when we go through so many difficulties, we think that God is not seeing, that we are on our own. But this is what God had in mind. He said, wacha wapitie Red Sea. Wacha wapatwe na Pharaoh. And I will glorify myself through that episode so that the Egyptians may know that there is a Lord, there is a God that truly lives. But Israelites, at that point, they could have walikuwa wanadhani sasa hii ni nini? But God had a plan in motion. If you read the verses prior to this event, utaona hapo venye Mungu alisema wacha waende hapo and I will glorify myself. So them being stranded at the Red Sea was not by coincidence. It was a divine plan by God. Sometimes we go through crises in life. And we think it may be what is happening, but God always has a plan. Be still. And when we read 2 Kings chapter 19, there was a time when there was a king in Judah who was called King Hezekiah. And there was a time, at that time, there was a kingdom of Assyrian where there was a king who wanted to attack them. Na akatuma letter akaambia Hezekiah, I have attacked so many nations. Na hizo nations zilikuwa na mamiungu. Na hizo mamiungu hawakuwahi nishinda. I will come and I am coming for you. Nato hiyo Mungu wenu hata nishinda. And Hezekiah took that letter. Akaingia kwa temple, a beautiful temple of Israel, like the one we have, like the way our sanctuary is beautiful. Akatandaza hiyo barua kwa temple. And he prayed to God, deliver us, O Lord. Deliver us, O Lord, from this crisis. And this is what God did. He sent Isaiah to King Hezekiah. Na akamwambia, usijali, I will deliver you. Go read that chapter, pole, and see how God delivered. And then God sent an angel, one single angel, to where the Assyrians army were. And a single angel was able to destroy the enemies of Israel, 185,000 soldiers who were coming after Israel. A single angel. But what if Hezekiah was not still? Unajua saa zingine unaweza pata na shida kama Hezekiah angeruka ngori. Angeona hii army inanikujia, achukue familia yake apotee na Judah would have been attacked. But Hezekiah did one remarkable thing. He stood still. And that is what I would like us to always, in times of crisis, stand still. And I would like us to look at two people who never stood still in times of crisis. Similarly, Saul, they were being attacked by Philistines. But Saul Samuel was to come and offer a sacrifice for Israel and seek God's help. But Saul akaona, huyu Samuel amekawia sana. And he was never still. Akaona huyu Samuel amekawia sana. And Saul could have been a very great king, but he never stood still. Akachukua, the offering was only, ingefanywa tu na priest. Akaenda hapo, akasema, he was never still. Akadecide yeye mwenyewe kufanya hiyo offering, yeye mwenyewe. It's like me na Deno venye tunaimbishanga hapa, and Holy Communion service, tuone mchungaji amechelewa. Mi na Deno tuchukue effort, tukuje tupeane sacrament. You see, a similar kitu kama hiyo. Saul never stood still. And when Saul came and found what Saul had done, this is what he told him. Because of what you have done, your kingdom will not reign forever. And God has chosen a person after his own heart who will take from you. He did not stand still in times of crisis. Another story in the Bible of people who never stood still were the Israelites, yet again, when God took them to Sinai. Na Moses akapanda mlima kupewa the law. Wakaona Moses amekawia kushuka. And they decided, let us make a God for ourselves. Wakaambia Aaron, tutengenezee Mungu. And Aaron akawaambia, leteni bango, leteni earring, leteni kamoja. Akazimold, akazichoma vizuri, akawatengenezea a God. Imagine, Mungu amepart Red Sea. Lakini hawa, kwa sababu Moses amekawia tu kidogo, they never stood still in times of crisis. Wakatengeneza kamungu na wakaanza kumwabudu. Then Moses akiwa kwa mlima, God saw what was happening and he decided to destroy Israel. And Moses pleaded to God, do not destroy them. Moses akashuka on the law and he found Joshua. Akashuka naye akapata Israelites wakiworship Mungu, gold. Imagine, Mungu wa kujitengenezea. And the way God had come through for them. Moses took the law akazigongesha. He was alikuwa amekasirika sana. He was very angry. He crushed the law. He took that calf, hiyo alikuwa ametengeneza hiyo miungu, akaiskata, akaikoroga kwa maji, and then he gave the Israelites to drink. And then he said, those who are for the Lord, come to this side. Those who are not for the Lord, nyi bakini huko. And then the Levites chose to come for the Lord. And then he started the Levites to kill the other. Imagine, people who were delivered from Israel for 400 years were in slavery. Wameletwa Sinai. And because Moses has stayed for a longer time, they never stood still. And 3,000 people died for not standing still in crisis. What are we learning today? One thing that we should do in crisis, we should always stand still. Stand still. Stand still. It doesn't matter what you might be going through. It doesn't matter. Stand still. Like Hezekiah, stand still. Whenever you go through a crisis, this is an application. Remember God's past faithfulness. Psalm 77:11 verse 12. I will remember the deeds the Lord did. I will remember the miracles of long ago. I will consider all your work and meditate on your mighty deeds. Whenever you are going through any difficulty in life, stand still and remember the great things that God has ever done for you. And do not waver. Do not waver. Always stand still. The other application in times of trouble, never turn away from God. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were instructed to worship an idol, this is what they said. Hata kama tunaona moto, God will deliver us. And if he does not deliver us, bado hatutaabudu. In times of crisis, never turn away from God. We have seen so many people. Like I remember there was a person mwenye alikosa school fees ya watoto wake na akakosa rent. Ile pesa kidogo ya saving alikuwa nayo, akaingia kwa club akakunywa yote. So imagine, ile pesa tu alikuwa nayo, at least angelipa nusu ya rent. Kwa sababu time ya crisis imefika, roho yake imedhoofika. Akaingia kwa club na kunywa yote. Imagine, in times of crisis, never turn away from God. Stand still. Do not be like Saul. We should learn from the past. We should never be like Saul. We should never be like the Israelites who worshipped a calf. We should always stand still in times of crisis. The second thing we should always do in times of crisis is rely on God. Rely on God. And this is what Psalms 46 says, verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in time of trouble. Always rely on God. Another similar story in the Bible. There was a time in Israel, the Philistines were coming again for the Israelites. And in the battle line, they used to start the Israelites on one hill and the Philistines on the other hill. Na hapo katikati nilikuwa battleground. And there was a giant alikuwa anaitwa Goliath. Alikuwa anasimama hapo anawaambia, bring one from you mwenye tutapigana na yeye. If I win, you submit to us. But if we lose, we submit to you. And he used to defile and say blasphemous words against the God of Israel. And this is what, and that time, there was a man called David, son of Jesse. Akatuma David apelekee brothers zake, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, chakula. And when David got to that place, na akaona venye Goliath anatreat na anaongea mambo mabaya kuhusu Israel, akasema na ujasiri akasimama akasema, I think I should step up here. And when people wakaona David ni kama ataka kufight, wakaambia Saul akamtumania, akauliza David, what do you think you want to do? You are just a small boy. Goliath has been in battle all his life. And this is one remarkable thing David did, and I would like us to learn from him. He said, I have been taking care of my father's sheep. Every time a bear or a lion comes, nakimbizanga hiyo bear na hiyo lion, naziua, and I regain the sheep of my father. David was a very brave man. Wengine wetu hapa hata akizoona mende atapotea, akizoona panya atapotea, but David was a very, very, very brave man. And this is what he told Saul, and I would like us to always in times of crisis do. He said, the same God who delivered me from the lions and from the bears is the same God who will deliver me from Goliath. Total reliance on God. The second thing we should always do in times of crisis is rely on God, like David did. Total reliance of God. Na akaenda battleground, akapewa helmet, akapewa sword, breastplate. Akasema hizi vitu sijazoea, akaziacha hapo, akaenda yeye kimwanaume. And then he approached Goliath. Goliath akamuuliza, am I a bad? Ukuja nipige na mawe. And this is what David told Goliath. You come to me with a sword, but I come to you with the word of God. God will deliver you to me. Total reliance on God. David did not say, it is my aim who will deliver you to me. It is not my braveness who will deliver you to me. It is not my ability to fight that will deliver you to me, but God will deliver you to me. In times of crisis, total reliance on God. Total reliance of God. Kama ni kitu, hata kama umepigwa heartbreak, total reliance on God. Anything, kama umekosa kazi, unemployment, total reliance on God. And another story that it was read in our first reading, the widow of Zarephath. Alikuwa Elijah after brook maji ilisha, alitumwa kwa huyu widow, akampata akiokota tukuni hivyo. And then akamwambia, go get some water for me. Okay, the widow of Zarephath akaendea maji. Akiwa kwa njia akaambiwa, nilete kamkate. The widow of Zarephath akamwambia aje, I only have a handful of flour, a handful, ngumi tu moja ya unga. Hiyo ndio tumebakisha tukule, tukufe. And that is what Elijah told him. Do not be afraid. Enda tu nipikie kaunga ulete. Because from today, that flour will never run out, and that oil will never run out. And the widow did another thing that David did. He relied on God. Akasema, let me trust the words of this prophet. Akaenda akatengeneza kaunga, akatengeneza kamkate, akaletea Elijah. And God made sure that flour and that oil will never run dry until the rain came. Total reliance on God. Whenever we are in times of trouble, we should always rely on God. Kama ni school fees imekosekana, kama ni rent imekosekana, kama ni relationship hai work out, kama ni heartbreak umepigwa, anything in life, rely it on God. What you cannot handle, achia Mungu. And the application in relying on God, never give up. Never give up. Mungu aligojea hadi unga ibaki a handful. A handful. Ndio Elijah alikuja. Never give up. Kalikuwa kabaki tuka kadogo. Never give up. Total reliance of God. What are we learning this morning? What we should do in times of crisis. First thing, stand still. Secondly, rely on God at all times. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.